harness and came to me.
Live.
And then I picked her up and I stuck her little legs in her little harness. The cat went outside today. Okay. Right. We've gotten pretty far through this talk today. We decided to move team below business system. Okay, we talk about semathesy. Then what? Where do we go from there?
So we've talked about designing change so far.
Yeah, we talked about designing change. We talked
I feel
about
like we haven't talked about
changing the business. We didn't turn the business system sideways.
No.
And I don't know that we can.
Yeah.
Oh, semathesy. And we can talk about semathesy. Learning system made of learning parts. This system is constantly changing. If we do turn it sideways, we just get... That could be effective.
Yes. Yeah.
There is no correct in this system. There is only better.
Yeah. Wait. Oh,
And then you say...
What do I say?
It's not even better.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's right. That's my thing. Yeah. It's not even better. It's more appropriate to the context that we're currently in, which is constantly changing. There's an urge that we all have to think that we are changing things to converge on best.
There's a destination that we're going to.
Right, there's some kind of destination that we're getting to. We're creating the perfect piece of software. We're getting all of the bugs out. We're getting all the features that we need. Or we're creating the perfect business. But the thing is, if our business succeeds, if our software succeeds, it's going to make a change in the world.
Oh yeah, Allspa says that that if you're successful, then the world asks more of you and your software becomes more complex. But that complexity is useful. It's encapsulating something
right
that the world doesn't want to have to think about. And so that makes you more successful. And that success and complexity are, in fact, circularly causal.
Circularly causal.
That's a hard word. But there's circular causality between success and complexity. We're never going to eliminate all the complexity.
Roustauer would have a beer. That's what Roustauer would do.
Damn it. You could have a beer.
Yeah, I was actually thinking of getting a drink because I could use a little bit of mental lubrication.
Yes, that works for you. I will be better. I can have a sip of your beer or whatever.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Bring me one of those well-beings. Or I can bring it to you if you want to stay.
Yeah, I'll get one.
There's this cool brewery down the street that makes real beer but non-alcoholic. This will be great. Okay, that gets us... I didn't mean to bring that Allspot thing in there. That's not on a sticky. And I don't know if we want to go there or not. But I want to get... Well, one thing I was thinking about getting to, we managed to say as if there's some destination in mind. Yeah, go back to that. There's a destination that we think is best. But the fact is, if you plan for a particular destination, by the time you get there, it won't be the most appropriate thing. Because the rest of the world will change. And that... does that go back down? We don't know where our business system will be most useful in a year. Will be most useful. We don't know what the business system is going to look like in 3 years, or in a year. We don't know what the competitive landscape will be. We won't know what people want. We won't know how UI standards will have increased. We won't know what our business will want to do necessarily in 1 year or 3 years. Oh, so this was the first time that we hit on the destination thing.
Mm.
And okay, so we can't know what is the most appropriate state for our business system 3 years from now, because we don't know where the world is 3 years from now. Thank you. Heavenly body, golden wheat, miraculously balanced between flavor and lightness, near beer from heaven. I'm not drinking this for virtue.
Schlafly pumpkin ale. We took a pumpkin, we put it in some ale.
It's not great. Proudly non-alcoholic malt beverage.
It's kind of watery.
Yeah. The brew barely notices when we're finished. You have a true to taste brew that is non-alcoholically delicious. Yeah, so is orange juice.
Well, it is a golden wheat.
I generally like wheats.
They're just usually pretty light, though.
Yeah, I know. What I really want is the cucumber sour, but that's alcoholic.
Right. Well, good job doing what's right for your brain.
Yeah, I know I need to not drink for a couple days. This is fine. So I can be extra thinky. So that we don't know where the business system needs to be 3 years from now. That means we don't know where the software system needs to be in that time. That means we shouldn't be designing a destination.
Yeah, so
We have
designing
to-
change isn't about aiming
Right.
for a destination.
Right. We probably have some goal in mind. We have some place where we would like our business system to be. Maybe it's market dominance. Maybe it's what's a nice software as a service? Maybe it's the order system everyone is excited to use.
Right.
Or it just sells the most parts. What are some other examples?
Although even those could conceal a better destination if we focus too hard on them.
Yes, because in the end, what are we really trying to do? Enable more people to build widgets? Is it,
What is our belief?
what is our quest? This is our quest.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's the why. It is
Yeah.
the why does our company even exist?
Thank you, Simon Sinek.
It could be, if it's what's a good software as a service one? Quests. I don't know. We want a quest. Maybe we're publishing the best books for young adults. Maybe we're giving people visibility and control of their social media.
We should decide what parts, what kinds of parts these are. Then we could have something better to say here.
Okay, well we can come back to that.
Yeah.
Because right. So what is our business's reason for being? That's a direction, and then we have a general idea of where we're going. In this case, we're making it easier for people to order parts. It's a very naive example. Or maybe, anyway, we can come back to that concrete example. The point being, so we don't know exactly where our software system needs to be in a year. We don't need to do big design up front. This is why big design up front is wrong. Because that's not designing change. When we're designing change...
It's designing a destination.
Yeah, it's designing a destination. And do we even want to go there? Probably not. Are we going to learn anything about the business system and the wider world in the next year? I sure hope so!
Yeah, if we're not learning, then we have a serious problem. So
this is where...
But all of our much of our society and our industry are focused on getting to destinations and on converging on some vision of perfection. So how do we swim against all that and learn to better design change?
Right. At this point, I want to, well, we do have elements of designing change on here. Learn to better design change.
Oh, that's right. I was going to move this back again.
Oh, right. The desk is in the way again.
Revealing our conspiracy theory board here.
Desk. Why are you so in the way? Still in the way.
It's a wonderful desk.
Oh, I love this desk. Yeah, yeah. I designed my entire room around this desk. There. Good enough.
It's not like people can actually read these notes
That's
anyway.
true. But look, this one says team. This one says business system. This says software system. This says code. And this says data.
This is the weirdest hopscotch ever.
Good job. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the talk up to this part.
At some point, we should figure out whether and where should put in the elements of designing change.
Yeah, because this is one place. So we don't know where our software system's going to be in a year. That's big design up front. We don't know where our code's going to be in the year, and we don't know what our data's going to look like in a year. I don't know that we need to go down that far. I do want to get software system. We don't know where that's going to be in a year. So don't do big design.
Designing change is recursive because we design change and it changes.
That's a thing.
And we design change and the changes change our environment.
Okay, so maybe we have a quest for our business system, and we have an idea that will be closer to that state if we have a really good order entry system in this naive example.
Right.
And so that becomes like the quest for our software system. It's trying to be a really good order entry system. We don't know exactly what that looks like in a year, but we're pretty sure it's better if we can put discount reasons on our price changes, because that's going to help the business.
Because that's going to help the business. Yeah. I mean, where we want to get, or where we've said that we wanted to get, is we want to make the jump. How'd that go again? I need to find the right notes. So we said that like we could end on like how do you design change well, but then there's this idea of going off into left field. You go in Samantha talk, you go into left field by saying that software is the next thing after art. We talked about going into left field.
From designing change to changing us.
Yes.
Right. I'm good with that part.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get stuff in between. You mentioned about did you use the word fractal? Designing change.
You know, we haven't said fractal this whole run through.
Oh, we haven't done any of our stickies, or very many of our stickies.
Yeah.
Okay, so the business system, really good order entry goes to the software system. We decide we'll be closer to that if we can report on why prices were lowered.
Right.
And that becomes a sort of a landing zone, the next nearest destination that we think is better.
Yes.
For the software system. And then when we get there, we have to stop and look around and say, are these discount codes useful? And if not, ideally remove the feature. And make everyone's lives easier and their reports less cluttered. But if it is useful, great. Look around and find the next nearest step that makes our order entry system better at this scope.
Yeah.
And then you can take that down to the code level and say, okay, I'm trying to get to reporting discount reasons. The next nearest step is adding an optional field to the order service, to the price changed event. And then that drives the change to your data model.
So here we are again at the data model.
Okay, that drives the change to data. So at this point, we could go back up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that drives the change to your data model. Yeah, I don't know how we get to this is not fractal. The data model.
At some point, we should return. We should like do a callback and say, so.
That's zooming in.
Remember, so we started out talking about. We started out talking about levels. We started out talking about one viewer. Hello, one viewer. We started out talking about how we work at various levels in software, often at once. And
it's painful. It's painful thinking about both what field do I need to add in the database and how are we helping people build widgets. Those are way too far apart.
Right. But we have intermediate levels.
But the thing is that those are they're like 3 steps apart. And more than steps, they're 3 mindset shifts apart.
Yeah. I don't like that transition.
Okay.
So there's a few reflections that we need to do at points along here.
Okay.
That we haven't done yet. We haven't actually done the out and up reflection. We've done it a few times.
That's true.
But we haven't actually done the reflection
gone out
of,
and up, but then I went back down.
We find meaning.
Yeah.
We find meaning. So there's this repeated pattern that we've been doing. We think this is a really neat trick where we find we design a change where we find meaning and discover entities at a lower level. Discover the important bits of a lower level. No, that. Okay. Blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah. We're talking about levels. I don't know where this goes. Okay.
Okay. Go.
But we're talking about working at different levels. Which is something we have to do as developers. But we're often tempted when a big part of our work a big part of doing our job is identifying the next up level of abstractions.
In the data model, we're looking for aggregates.
In the data model, we're looking for aggregates.
In the code, we're looking for modules.
Right. And there's this repeating trend here where every time we look for the next level of abstraction up, we try to expand our scope. We try to do that by expanding our scope outwards in information, in
more data, more code.
More code. But that's not what we've been doing here. Is it? We haven't been finding our next level of these levels that we've identified. We haven't been finding our next level of abstraction by zooming out to the next fractal level of scope.
For this, I will need an illustration of our data model and then zoom out to a lot more data models.
A lot more data models, yeah. A lot of clumps. What have we been doing? We've been turning things on its. We've been turning our current entities. We've been turning our level on its side.
To look at the time dimension.
And
Look at
to
change.
extend out along the time dimension and look at how things change over time. And we think this is a neat trick that works at multiple levels of the things that we deal with as developers. That every time we need to figure out the meaning, the meaning and the the meaning of the level that we're at, instead of expanding out in scope, go out along the axis of time, and that forces us to go up a level.
And I don't even know if it's up a level of abstraction. It's up a level of meaning.
Meaning, yeah. And one of the things that we've observed in doing this is that each level that we arrive at
has a different language.
A different discourse, a different way
of thinking
about it. Yes, what you said.
Yeah, so the data we're talking about transactions and foreign keys and required fields.
And this bothered me at first because for my entire...
I want to get the examples in there. In the code, we're talking about functions, and then at a higher level of abstraction, objects and messages. And in the software system, we're talking about services and applications. And in the business system, we're talking about order entry. We're talking about selling stuff.
These things work differently.
Talking about actual widgets.
And this bothered me for a long time because for the longest time I have wanted my job to be perfectly fractal. I've wanted things to be turtles all the way down. And this is one of the reasons that I was committed to the I don't know if I should throw this in, but I could say this is one of the reasons I was committed to the ideals of object-oriented programming for the longest time. Because Alan Kay promised me that it could be objects all the way down and all the way up. But the truth is, systems in the real world behave differently at different levels of abstraction. Cells, the stuff inside cells works differently than cells interacting with other cells. And people
work differently than atoms, and atoms work differently than molecules of chemicals and chemistry. So you've got like physics, and then chemistry is a different science, and then biology is a different science, and then ecology, and then anthropology. There are different sciences at different levels for reasons, because you interact.
They have different languages.
They have different languages because the systems work differently.
Right. The system.
Application architecture is not data modeling.
It's not.
And if they ask you about architecture and then they want a data model.
It is not. Application architecture is not data modeling writ large.
Yes. It's not coding writ large either. Distributed systems are different from... Distributed systems work differently than code within a process. Code within a process, yes, please write side effect-free functions with immutable data structures. And at a distributed system level, give up! You don't have that! That are perfectly predictable. Yeah, that's really good. It's not data modeling writ large. And that interview was ridiculous.
I wrote this really badly, but
I don't know. That's here. It's at this level anyway. It's also at paradigm.
Paradigm and discourse, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where it belongs.
Okay. Right. No wonder it's so painful to zoom in from the data and code level, or even just zoom in from thinking about the concrete, what am I going to type in the code, to think about why am I typing it at a business level, and how do I need to document, and who am I going to need to train.
Oh,
if I make this drop down hard to see.
And backing up slightly, that's where we can throw in, but and you in Erlang, you understand this.
Okay.
Because you work with a language that draws a very clear distinction between functional inside processes and message-oriented outside processes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Message-oriented outside processes. And then you can build up processes, within libraries, within other processes, and have the supervisors handle failure. But at some point you move into the business level.
Mm-hmm.
And it's different. And you have to think about different things, and you have to talk to humans.
Yeah, and you have to speak a different language.
You have to speak a different language, exactly. And in the human social world, it's not just one language. I don't like the word users, but the fact is there's no I don't like the word users, but the fact is, to talk about software in context, I need more specifics than software.
Yeah.
Because you have to get within the business domain. This is one reason, as developers, it's so important to understand the language of the business domain so that we can think at that level at all, a level more meaningful than code. More meaningful to the world than code.
Yeah.
So making change at each of these levels is different. The way your data model changes is different from the way your code changes. That's actually important. It's important to decouple change at these levels. If you can only do a deploy during the big release, you're holding the code back.
Mm-hmm. You need to get your rant in.
Okay.
Yeah, when we talk about Fractal, about RPC, about...
okay, right. Yeah, that's...
Here you go. RPC, distributed transactions, big agile, services, data.
Yeah, so that's the one about if you try to take the same mindset too far, then you get services trying to call each other over RPC because we tried to scale functions up past where functions go.
Past where they make any sense.
If you have transactions at the application level, then you have the spinning beach ball of locking.
Because we're trying to scale transactions across multiple data stores. No, not...
What is it doing? If you try to think about people in terms that you use for software, then you start blaming them for inconsistency and ambiguity. That is our superpower as humans, actually.
Inconsistency and ambiguity.
More on that later. And at the team level, if you take something that works at the team level and try to scale that up to larger systems, you get agile for the enterprise. If you take something that works for people on a team and try to scale that up farther, you get agile for the enterprise. No, it doesn't work. It's not the thing.
I don't ever want to write a talk without you again.
This is fun.
Hey, pairing works for other stuff. Works for writing talks too.
Yeah, you and I write talks very similarly too.
True. Ish.
Not totally similarly. That would be boring. But we both do a lot of talking out loud.
Yeah.
I mean, we basically we use a similar process to write talks individually by talking to each other.
True. We haven't really written a talk individually for a while.
Yeah. I did that one in January. Maybe I'll do that one again sometime. Anyway, we were on the mindsets don't scale up. And separately I have a rant about don't couple the changes. I don't see my production grade code rant in here, and that's okay.
It was around someplace.
No, I mean I don't. It's not ending. It is around here someplace, but
okay. I don't know, man. That was a good one.
It's right here. Post-it wise.
I love that one.
Do you? I'm sure we can. Well, we can work it in if we want to.
Production grade is in how the software changes, not a static property. Done is dead. Yeah, I mean,
we haven't got to
both
done
of
is
those
dead
are
either.
important to this talk, I think. Artie Gold says, riff on modal versus modeless. Humans want to be modeless.
Oh yeah, we do, don't we?
Yeah.
We want to be stateless, but we're not. We're inconsistent and
We are
ambiguous.
modal. Except when we're not. I'm very modal.
Modal like stateful?
Modal like, I'm in this mode now. Ah, don't distract me with other modes. Ah!
Yeah, because I was at one client this morning for like 5 hours, which doesn't sound like a full day's work, but I came home and I was like, you want me to what? And I had to like play Beat Saber and then play my stupid phone game for like an hour before I could think about anything else.
Yeah, and we went for a walk.
Yeah, that helps. And had tea,
Yeah, tea.
which tastes a lot better than that beer. Sadly. I have had a well-being that I liked.
We'll have to figure out which one that was.
Yeah, I think it was like a porter or something.
More opportunity for flavor in a porter.
Yeah, this one's... It doesn't taste like a wheat. It tastes like a lager.
Yeah.
Nah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, Done is Dead feels appropriate to this talk, as does production.
Okay, we turned the code sideways. And we know that looks like a commit graph. Because it does. We haven't talked about what it looks like when we turn the software system sideways.
Okay.
What does it look like when we turn the software system? We know that the events that are happening are releases.
So the events for code is commits.
Yeah,
is
I mean
what
you
we're
could.
saying.
The events
Yeah,
for
so
code
the-
is commit.
so
Wait. The lanes for code is a commit graph.
Yeah.
The lanes for code is a commit graph. The events are deploys. Okay.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
on a software system, we could have like lanes for the different services.
Yeah.
And the lines, the lifetimes in there could be different commits. So you have deploys happening, and then you have releases being feature flag flipping.
Yeah. I mean, externally, that's what's visible is like, hey, this thing works now.
Right. And I do want to pretend that everyone's using feature flags that way.
Because if we keep pretending that, they'll just believe that everybody's doing
standard.
that.
Yes.
And then they'll do it.
That currently is the most appropriate practice that we know of.
That we know of. Until it isn't.
Releases. Sometimes a release means pushing to the Apple Store. Or it means updating the JavaScript on CloudFront, or
you had a rant about JavaScript.
I had a cute thing of don't pretend that everyone has the latest version of your JavaScript. That's as part of the fictions of distributed systems.
Right.
But what I would like, but if we show the different service lifelines, Do we want to? I wanted to get something about done is dead in there. They're dead when they stop changing. They're done when they're out of production.
Right.
Um.
Yeah, you had a thing that's like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, it's done? I'm sorry.
Actually, speaking of done, I'm about done.
Okay, break time?
What do you think? Yeah.
Alright.
I mean, counting the walk, we've been at this a long time.
Yeah.
And
I feel like we're at a point where maybe next week could do some more detailed outlining.
yeah, I feel like we should move this around.
Yes.
According to how we did it on our walk. I
Mhm.
mean, we did the different levels. I think so far we seem to be doing levels
We're structuring this by level.
and then themes.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
we went through the different levels.
I mean, there's...
So there's like enumerating the levels and moving from one to another. Then there was talking about the process of the movement itself.
We could structure this as a series of movements from level to level, punctuated by reflections on the movement.
Which is not what we've done
No.
today.
No.
And actually, I like what we did today.
Okay.
Because I think the reflections on the movement work better when you've seen more of it.
Oh, okay. All right. So, like, have a whole section of just like reflections on the movement.
Yeah, and maybe move up and down a bit
Okay. Alright.
as we talk about that, because we can go back and forth talking about the different reflections and how
Mhm.
each reflect, because
Yeah. Yeah. We can talk about fractals. We can talk about and lack thereof.
because we were getting to the destination. We got to the destination,
Mhm.
and then I went back down so that you can see how the destination breaks down.
Right.
You could talk about the pattern as we go back up.
Mhm.
the neat trick.
Right.
And then we can talk about the different discourses and paradigms and how it's not fractal.
Yeah. And eventually, we can talk about some of the elements of designing change.
Yes. And we talked about the elements of there was a thing.
And end on the way we get better at this.
Is by changing us. Oh, right. Because when we talk about how it's not fractal, the change at the individual level is not fractal. But there are some, but our job is designing change. It's really painful to have to think of these different levels for the change. But there are some common elements of designing change.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of these ones that we have, some of these only apply to human change.
True.
Choose a
true.
direction, not a destination, applies to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Start with understanding where we are, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Become aware of larger system, everything.
Mm-hmm.
The agent of change must also be changed, human.
Yeah.
Introduce discomfort, human.
Yeah, I don't know.
Change the context to change the
into
thing, human.
True.
So
So
we
that's
could
a separate.
talk about, these are some elements of designing change. But in the end, to be better at designing change, we have to change. In
Yeah.
fact, to make change at this level,
To be at
at the
no,
level.
No,
oh,
no, not we have to change.
Okay.
This is important. We have to be constantly changing.
Oh.
It's
Yes.
not because it's way too easy to be like, oh, we need to change into better change designers.
We need we need to complete our agile transformation.
Right.
Okay, actually I think we should say that. I think I should say we need to change and you should correct me. That is a beauty of this 2-speaker format. I wonder how much time we have. At some point we'll look at the website and find out. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, we'll fill it up. Yeah, because there's one kind of change that you get to take with you when you move to the next job. rule of agile transformation. If it ever ends, you failed.
Perpetual revolution.
Done is dead in an agile transformation.
So it's not that in order to become better at designing change we need to change ourselves. It is that in order to become better at designing change we need to be constantly changing. We have to be comfortable.
And then I can say, right. Like if your agile like when your agile transformation is done, that means you failed.
Yes, that means you failed.
So we need to change. And now in a semathesy, it's essential that the people and the software in the system are constantly changing. Learning in particular. I mean, learn, change, same difference. And the phrase same difference actually works there, even though it's a stupid expression. Okay, so that takes us into the left field. So if we talk about these elements of designing change, then we can add to them when we get to the human.
Yeah. Well, we don't even have to say that this is part of the same. That these two are part of the same.
Two.
That
the
these
two
two
columns.
stripes are
Okay.
part of the same two things. But we
These
have
are
to
just
become,
like hints for changing ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've talked a lot about how to change business systems by changing software, by changing code, which changes data. But to get better at that, we need to be changing.
Yeah.
And that's rather a different business. And so we can talk about how do we get better at changing ourselves.
Yeah.
How do we become better, more appropriate people for the situation?
Yeah, and then I can that segues nicely into
These.
Yeah.
We have to be changed.
We have to be changed. And discomfort is a really important part of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of it, and I hate to tell you this, but part of it is that we have to become uncomfortable.
You don't like being uncomfortable.
Nobody likes being uncomfortable.
I don't know. It depends how uncomfortable and for how long. That's the thing about discomfort is you have to know it's going to end.
Yes.
So that you feel safe.
You have to know that you're going to get to a landing zone.
Yeah.
Where you can be safe for a little while.
Some people need to stay there for a long time. I get restless after about 5 minutes.
But the trickiest part of changing yourself and becoming, the trickiest part of being someone who is constantly changing. Trickiest part about constant change. Phrasing.
The beer sucks?
What?
No, go on. No, I don't know what you're going to say after that.
Is that we can't do it to ourselves.
Oh, you can't change yourself with willpower.
You cannot make yourself dynamic through sheer force of will. That's not how it works. It turns out that the language of this level.
Oh, nice. The language of this level, the mindset that is useful for changing ourselves.
The tool set at this level.
Yeah.
Is not our will, and it's not in reading another New York Times starred self-help book.
It's in changing our.
It is in changing your environment and in changing who you are around.
Because our behavior does not come from only our will.
Because we are.
I can actually answer the free will question in this talk if we want to. Do we have free will? We have influence. That's the answer.
Alright, Chidi.
Chidi hasn't got up to Alicia Juarero yet.
Oh, true. True. No. Well, he might have, but his students have not.
True.
Yeah.
Right.
Becoming a dynamic person.
Our behavior is a property of both our intention and our environment. What seems appropriate to where we are, what we've done before, and importantly, what the people around us do.
Yeah.
That does signal what's appropriate, I guess. And what our tools make easy.
Right.
If you want people to respond more quickly to alerts, then...
Ooh, this is where you can... I think this is where you can get into... maybe. What people ask about.
What people ask about. That's true. That's a good one. Where's the asking about one? That's over here, isn't it? Here. I'm hungry. Is it time to eat yet?
It is 17:51, so it's getting there. Nearly 1800. I ate more recently than you. Yes, I did.
Yeah, you did. Because you ate my lunch leftovers.
Yes, thank you.
So it was necessarily more recently, although I did eat more than half of that brisket mac and cheese, which was not optimal.
It was brisket and mac and cheese.
It was great, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good job working a little bit longer after you felt done.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Something conclusion.
Right. Conclusion.
Change is...
Our takeaways include our job is designing change. To find the next level of meaning, look at how stuff changes.
Mm-hmm.
Look at change over time. Yeah, I might be able to do the production grade code on the way up.
Mm-hmm.
We do want some rants in there. So
Yeah.
that's kind of here's a useful thing to think about early.
Mm-hmm.
I love the bit about the sciences because you mentioned something that triggered that, and that worked really well.
Yes. Cells.
Yeah. I'm gonna pee.
Okay.
Oh, there's one more thing. What was coming out, Jess? The conclusion. The conclusions were our job is designing change. To find the meaning, look at the change over time. And the bit about shit works differently at different levels is really important. But that's not really a takeaway.
Right.
Designing change.
I'm still tempted to squeeze dance with change in there.
Right. Our job is designing change.
In order to be good at it, we have to be constantly changing ourselves. But changing ourselves is not a solo exercise.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It is not a solo dance. It is a couples dance, or it is a...
Change ourselves. It's not a solo activity. I mean, reflection helps.
Or I could actually, moving back slightly, we must be constantly changing ourselves. We are engaged in a sense, we are engaged in a dance with change, but it is not a solo dance. doesn't really work because obviously if it's a dance with change, it's not a solo dance.
We're not in it alone. I don't know. I will now go pee.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think it might be time to turn off the stream for
Okay.
now.
Well, streaming is useful. Keep
Yeah.
us focused.
It does help us focus. Almost an hour.